Yeah, thanks, Tim. Great opportunity to tell our listeners about Ardiden's Pickle Lake Gold Project and how we're also managing our lithium assets, which are part of our portfolio as well. The other, Steve and Keith, have done a really good job on explaining the lithium environment and EV batteries, so I won't linger too much on that other than what benefit that's going to bring to Ardiden and shareholders. First slide I've got up there is just to help explain exactly where we are. Not a lot of ASX people have eyes on Canada at the moment, but I can tell you that this area of northwest Ontario, where you see Ardiden's Pickle Lake Gold Project up there in the Uchi geological belt, is a hot area at the moment. There's a land grab going on, which has been spurred largely by a new discovery just to our west at Great Bear Resources Dixie project. Kinross, who I mentioned several times in this presentation, have just recently made a 1.8 billion acquisition bid for Great Bear Resources, and they don't even yet have a JORC resource published. So that gives you some sort of feel for what's happening in the Uchi of northwest Ontario and why Ardiden are in such a good position there. We have built up over the last few years a significant and compelling gold land package, which is now 900 square kilometres. It's a continuous package with JORC resources, exploration targets, and a number of walk-up targets. That somewhat differentiates us from others. We've got a number of different options to go and explore on. We're alongside brownfields gold mines in Pickle Lake, and we got the drill rig turning. So our rig started yesterday. So we're underway again drilling at Pickle Lake. In this area, you've got most of the major gold producers and some big Australian names in there as well. Barrick, Newmont, Evolution obviously bought the Red Lake operations recently. Orteco alongside us at Pickle Lake, drilling out the Pickle Crow resource. And of course, I keep referring to this Great Bear Kinross deal, which is so important in this area. So this slide is really, I could almost do this slide and take questions, because it summarises most of that, the value that we have in Ardiden at the moment. We've just recently bolstered our board with the introduction of a new chairman and an NED, which I'll introduce. And we're making permitting and arrangements with all our First Nation communities around us over there. And on the bottom there, I've got, what are we doing with our lithium assets? Well, we've currently got a 49% free carry joint venture interest with a new ASX-listed company called Green Technology Metals, who are listed in November and currently have a market cap of about $150 million. So they're doing really well. They're funding all the drilling and all the expenses. And we still have a 49% holding in those three projects there. Those shares which we were given as part of that deal are currently worth over $7 million. So as capital may become more and more difficult to access, we have a nest egg brewing here in lithium in terms of our equity in the lithium stake and future production opportunities as the GT1 team drive those projects forward. Next slide, please, Jake. On the left there, you can see Bruce McFadzean, who I really welcomed into the board late last year. Bruce is a mining engineer, so we've got some technical expertise to overlook both our gold progress as well as understand the lithium space, and really well connected. And on the other end of the board team there, Michelle Roth recently joined us full-time as an NED, who's based out of New York, an investor relations expert, and really knows the North American market. So she gives us real-time feedback and context through Canada and the US, and also Europe, with investors that are looking at what Ardiden are doing in this space. On the far right there, we have both Angelo and Harrison live in Thunder Bay, and we have an extended team that are based there. So we have people on the ground that are carrying out the drilling and all the negotiations at the same time. Next slide, please. That's a quick snapshot of our performance. We're getting a reasonable uplift in our share price of late. Again, down in the bottom there, we've just put out our quarterly this morning, so we're just under 3 million in cash. But what's important to factor into that is that we do hold 9 million GT1 shares, which at the volume weighted average price is worth about $7.5 million to us at the moment. GT1 can also increase their joint venture holding from 51% to 80% by paying us an additional $3.5 million in either scrip or share, or a combination of the two. So again, you're really giving ourselves options going forward in terms of funding all the activities that we have planned at Pickle Lake. Next slide, please. So that basically summarises our gold, Pickle Lake Gold Project, what we're doing there in the Uchi Belt, and on the bottom, our free carried interest in lithium, and shows you all the activity going on up in that northwest area of Ontario, which is, as I keep saying, a really hot spot at the moment. There's a number of gold mines already in production, and there's some new ones coming on stream at the moment. I've been through most of that, so we can jump to the next slide, Jake. Geologically, we're in that Uchi sub-province, which runs sort of east-west all the way across Ontario. Red Lake has produced about 30 million ounces historically, and Evolution are the main producer in Red Lake. Halfway between us and Red Lake, Springpole is a new gold mine that First Mining Gold will be opening up soon. And at Pickle Lake itself, which produced 3 million ounces, there's also a new mine north of us called Musselwhite, which is happily producing about 300,000 ounces a year. In the same region of Ontario, you've got Rainy River, a new gold Inc. Operation down near the US border, and operations over the border in Manitoba in the same Uchi sub-province. So this is really a rich, well-endowed gold Archean system that we know quite well, and we're exploring in there for the next big deposit. Next slide. There's a colourful picture there of the Pickle Lake Gold Project. Green are Greenfields projects, orange are our Brownfields projects alongside existing gold mines in Pickle Lake, and purple or magenta are really our hot targets that we're going after that either have JORC resources or historical resources that we're going to convert. You can see to the south of us, talking about a land grab, Evolution recently moved into Pickle Lake, and you can see their large land holding that they picked up along the southern area of Pickle Lake. In the northeast of the Pickle Lake region, Orteco are doing an earn-in with First Mining Gold, and there are other juniors in this space as well. So we really have over 20 known prospects and deposits in this area that we're systematically picking off. At the moment, we're drilling at the Esker prospect, which is an orange prospect you can see on what we call the Western Hub, alongside Barrick's Golden Patricia gold mine. Next slide. This is a similar picture of Pickle Lake, and again shows that Evolution ground to the south of us in red. All of the orange ground is Ardiden's, and we've built a significant package there, which is all interconnected. On the right-hand side there, we're just listing the other activity in this area, just to put the spotlight a bit on what's going on in the area. Red Lake is dominated by Evolution. In Pickle Crow area, you have Orteco. I think they've got 5 rigs working at the moment at Pickle Crow, both on an existing underground mine and the step outs around that, similar to what they've done at Bellevue, some of the management team there. But they're quite limited into that area. So I guess what sets Ardiden apart is we have the width of this orange blob, as you can call it, our exploration ground, is about 110 k's east to west and 30 to 40 k's north to south. So we have a number of opportunities there to either go and find the next big deposit or to string together a number of resources along the way. It's a massive project that is really deserving all of our attention. There's another TSX listed company called Metals Creek, which are working the Donna Lake mine in Pickle Crow. And as I keep mentioning, Great Bear Resources, with a market cap of $1.8 billion, have done an exceedingly good job making these new discoveries in areas which were previously underexplored and attracting a corporate like Kinross to come and buy them out. Next slide. This is where we're drilling at the moment. I'll jump through some of these slides. It's on our website now, and it's uploading on the ASX. Where we're currently drilling is at Esker. That's the black label in the middle there. We're basically going to be drilling either side of the Barrick gold mine, which is called Golden Patricia. That produced about 600,000 ounces at an amazing grade of 15 grams per tonne. So we're chasing that same structure along strike. There's about 50 kilometres of strike along this Western Hub that we're going to be exploring over the next year or two, really going after the next Dixie or the next Golden Patricia in this region. Very little exploration in here, but a lot of high-grade intersections. You can see there at Dorothy, there's an intersection there of 472 grams per tonne from 184 metres down, and none of that has ever been followed up. Next slide. That gives you a comparison. In the bottom left there is the Great Bear Dixie resource, and that's almost to scale. So they've really got a deposit stretched over about 3 or 4 k's to the west of us, and we've got 50 kilometres to emulate their success. Next slide. There's a detail slide there of the drilling that we're going to be doing at Esker. I can go into that more detail and take questions later on, but the drilling is underway, and we're hoping to add rigs to that as we move forward. Next slide. And then after Esker is well underway, we're going to move the other side of the Golden Patricia mine and start drilling at the Dorothy Dobie, which is where we had that 400 gram hits. And there's a historical estimate there of nearly 100,000 ounces at 5.8 grams per tonne that we're going to systematically explore, convert that to JORC, and find out where the next big Dixie is in our region. Next slide. As others have touched on, ESG is a really important part of our business. Working with First Nations has been really critical over the last 18 months or so with COVID. We've got permitting on 4 of our projects now, and we're working our way through. We've got a really good relationship with First Nation, which is so important to getting a sustainable exploration program going in this area. And having people that live and breathe the air there and understand local issues has been really important to us. Next slide. That's our news flow coming up this month and moving into next quarter. We'll be producing results out of ESCA, getting permitting at Dorothy Doby, and following the news flow from Green Technology Metals activity in the lithium space. They recently reported, I think, 40 meters at 1.5% lithium. So they're really doing all the hard lifting for us in lithium, and their share prices are appreciating because of that. I think that's about it. Next slide, I think it just closes out. So I'll throw it back to you, Tim, because I'm cognizant you're probably a bit short on time.
Oh, sorry. You're the lucky last, Rob, so we've got some time here. Okay. I was just looking at you mentioned a JV of 49% JV in green technology. They've got like a market cap of 150 million. How does that convert into $3.5 million worth? Can you just give us a bit more colour on that?
Yeah, so we did basically a shareholder vote last September, and we looked for partners to work our lithium projects while we concentrated on gold. And there's some tranches of payments in that. We received a $4 million payment in shares and scrip when they listed for them to instantly acquire 51% of the 3 lithium projects. Now, they have until 1 year after listing, which will be November 10th of this year, to decide whether or not they want to increase their joint venture holding from 51% to 80%. And in order to do that, they pass over $3.5 million of either script or cash at their election.
Right, okay, gotcha. Now, a question here. So how does your land package and the number of targets kind of compare to some of your neighbours? What can you read into that? I know you touched on it briefly.
Yeah, I think that's important to emphasise, is that we're not just limited to a postage stamp or 1 or 2 prospects. We've got a lot of historical noise with TSXV Juniors, which has been at different parts of Pickle Lake doing sort of ad hoc exploration and finding some good noise, which is how Great Bear started. They started to put together an old Newmont package where people have walked away from it thinking there's nothing there, and look at where they are now. So we've joined all that together, and we've got at least 20 known prospects that have historical high-grade intersections. It's a case of working our way through both in terms of a permitting point of view and also from a priority, what's going to give us the best bang for buck. So the Western Hub has really come into focus as we've started to realise the geology there is very, very similar to what Dixie is over at Great Bear Resources project. Others that are drilling out old gold mines is a different sort of investment strategy. We hope that they're successful, because I think if someone like Orteco or someone gets going mining there, it changes the opportunities there to satellite feed smaller deposits. But Ardiden is absolutely focused on finding tier 1 deposits, and we think we've got the right geophysical structures and the right approach to do them.
I mean, given your neighbours, they're going to be watching you pretty closely, aren't they?
Well, I don't think if any company has a BD department worth their salt, they're watching all of the activity out here. The land grab has both been gold and lithium. The Root Lake project, which is now under the management of GT1, has a 4-gram gold hit on it, as well as spodumene historical estimates. So Barracks and these sort of guys have been doing deals with junior parties over there. It's not necessarily our strategy to look for corporate to come in. We want to get to a level where we're hard to ignore, but we're well aware that our eyes on this region and on Ardiden as well.
And what's the timeline look like for development?
Well, our focus at the moment is absolutely on just exploration on the Western Hub for the next year or two. We've got 10,000 metres in front of us at Dorothy Doby and ESCA. The lithium side of things, I'll point people towards Green Technology Metals. Luke Cox, John Young and Cam Henry are doing a fantastic job there, both in terms of resource, but also in terms of looking at industrial sites. Canada is becoming very open, and that whole North American space is catching up with Europe. Keith talked about how fast Europe has moved ahead. Well, North America's swinging over as well. So I think the development side of the lithium is going to be really, really exciting. And by keeping that 20% minimum, even if GT1 do increase to 80% of the joint venture, we still own 20% of the whole project and 20% of potential future revenue streams. So that gives us some insurance, and again, that nest egg of moving into the future in terms of access to capital.
And given how active it is out there, and given COVID and supply chains disruptions, are you seeing any impact in terms of getting resourcing?
Well, I think last year was probably more difficult. Canada's opening up now, and while it's important to everyone, and we have to take precautions, testing, and stay out of First Nation communities, they're moving on with business. I'm stuck here in Perth, and I think Keith can testify. We're kind of getting a bit sick of it, but I won't open up that conversation. Certainly, labs and staffing levels and logistics are tough, and access to people to work. But we've got a drill rig working, double shifting, so we'll focus on what we can control and keep our staff. I'll be heading up there shortly, as will Hayden. Travel safe and look after the people in our community.
And for your shareholders and potential investors over the next, say, 6 months or so, what should they be looking for from you guys?
Well, I think both results in terms of what we're drilling at both Esker and Dorothy Dobie, around an old Barrick gold mine, as well as news flow from the lithium side of things. Lithium is obviously absolutely in the focus at the moment, and we have a lot of faith and trust in the likes of Cam Henry, who's building plants all over the world at the moment and knows the industry inside out, as to what their plans are going forward as they build that resource up at Seymour, do some drilling at Root, and really develop the whole lithium story. That will add a lot of benefit and news flow to Ardiden, which was our intention. So we can absolutely focus on results and activity in the Red Lake, Pickle Lake region of the Uchi Belt in northwest Ontario. All these projects are in the same region. The lithium projects are right in amongst the same area of northwest Ontario. So we're working with the management over there in Thunder Bay as well. So it's a lot of synergies between the two companies in terms of operations.